Okay, so if you've ever felt
Yeah.
that knot in your stomach,
Yeah.
the one that just appears when maybe your team lead hits you with a super technical question in a meeting?
Oh, yeah. Or you're with a senior client and suddenly you're expected to make like 5 minutes of effortless small talk.
Exactly. That specific feeling, that professional anxiety, maybe the fear of just freezing up.
hmm
That's really what we're diving into today.
And it's a pretty universal feeling, I think. But it definitely gets amplified hugely when you're trying to communicate complex stuff in a second language.
Right.
I mean, your brain's juggling so much, right? Trying to come up with the content, check your grammar, your pronunciation, navigate cultural
It's
things.
too much.
Yeah, it's just an impossible cognitive load, really. It almost guarantees you'll feel, well, paralyzed sometimes.
Totally. So our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, a way to get back in control quickly. We're pulling these secrets, these strategies straight
Yeah.
from, really high stakes communication environments.
Yeah, the insights come from a former simultaneous interpreter who actually worked with and coached people like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, big organizations like the UN, Goldman Sachs.
So these aren't just generic English tips. They're meant to be really actionable formulas for boosting your impact, your confidence.
hmm And we've kind of grouped these high leverage strategies into three main areas where people often, stumble a bit.
Okay.
Mastering small talk, making a bigger impact in virtual meetings, and then handling those scary impromptu Q&A moments.
All right, let's start with small talk then, because that often feels like the biggest hurdle, doesn't it?
It really
The
does.
source material we looked at highlights that a lot of the anxiety comes from intense
Yeah.
self-monitoring.
Yeah, that little voice inside your head just constantly critiquing, am I making a mistake? Is my accent okay? Do I sound awkward?
Right.
And that self-focus, it's just destructive. It eats up all your mental bandwidth.
Yeah.
And it can even trigger, a physical panic response, heart racing, maybe blushing, stumbling over words.
It's that awful feedback loop.
Exactly. It's paralyzing.
So if focusing inward, like 100% on yourself, causes that panic,
Yeah.
what's the first secret? It seems kind of counterintuitive.
Well, the first secret is really about fighting back against that anxiety, almost like psychological warfare. The idea is to shift your focus completely. Focus 100% on the other person, not yourself.
Yeah.
There's this psychological insight, Jordan Peterson talks about this quite a bit, that the human brain literally cannot dedicate 100% focus to two really demanding things at the same time.
Okay, I get that. So if all my mental energy is going towards like watching their expression, really listening to their tone, processing what they're saying.
Then you simply don't have the cognitive fuel left over to be simultaneously critiquing your own pronunciation in that moment.
Ah, okay. So it moves the whole thing from being this internal critique session to more like an active observation.
Precisely. You essentially become an active researcher of the person right in front of you. And once you make that shift, that really critical shift in focus, then the next question becomes, well, how do you keep the conversation flowing?
Right. If I'm not just talking about myself, which can be exhausting anyway,
Yeah.
how do you fill the space and actually build some rapport?
Well, that leads directly into the second secret.
Mhm.
Be interested and ask genuine questions.
Okay. Less talking, more asking.
That's the fundamental shift. Look, trying to constantly generate content, monitor your language, be culturally brilliant, it's just exhausting.
Yeah.
But what top leaders understand, apparently, is that a core human need is just to be heard and to be seen. So your goal in small talk isn't really to impress them.
It's more about giving them the chance to talk about themselves.
Exactly. So say someone introduces themselves as, I don't know, an accountant. Instead of just nodding or giving some standard reply,
You turn the spotlight right back onto them.
that's right. Ask an open-ended question, something that shows genuine curiosity, not something they can just answer with yes or no. Like, oh, that sounds really interesting. What actually made you decide to go into forensic accounting? Or maybe, I heard you just moved to the city. What's been the biggest, unexpected challenge so far?
Okay. Open-ended.
Yeah. And what you'll find is you end up spending maybe 85% of the time just listening, which is relaxing for you.
Yeah, much less pressure.
And the goal, building rapport, it happens almost instantly.
That makes a lot of sense. But there's another piece to this listening thing, isn't there? Our sources pointed out that lots of professionals, they listen really intently,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't show it. And that brings us to secret number 3. You have to actively signal that you're listening.
This is such a major blind spot, especially for professionals working across cultures. You might be hanging on every word.
Right, totally focused.
But if your body language, your face is just completely static, the speaker feels like they're talking to a brick wall.
Or they think you've zoned out.
Exactly. They feel disengaged, or worse, yeah, that you're just not interested.
So what are the quick, easy fixes? How do you show you're engaged without, interrupting them?
Okay, the sources give 3 really simple methods. First is vocal acknowledgement, just using brief little sounds like, yes, okay, absolutely, or even reacting slightly like, oh no, if the story calls for it.
Little verbal nods.
Exactly, they just confirm you're following along. Second is body language and facial expressions, Nod your head, show a bit of surprise maybe, widen your eyes slightly, or look thoughtful.
Yeah, the source used that great metaphor, didn't it?
I
About listeners being unmoving, stable as Mount Tai.
Yeah.
I know I've done that, trying to look super serious and focused, but probably just looking wooden.
Well, it often comes from a place of respect, right? You don't want to interrupt or seem like you're not taking it seriously.
Sure.
But in many professional contexts, especially fast-paced ones, that stillness gets misinterpreted. It reads as coldness or just plain disinterest. You need to consciously relax your face a bit, let the conversation show there.
Okay, so vocal cues, body language.
Mm-hmm.
What was the third technique? It sounded a bit more advanced.
Yeah, the third one is a bit more advanced, but it really builds connection. Repeat keywords or phrases when it's your turn to respond.
How does that work?
So if the speaker uses a specific term, maybe leveraging synergy, or they told a little story about the bottleneck in Q2, when you respond, try to weave those exact words or that specific reference back into your sentence. It shows you weren't just passively hearing sounds. You actually grasped their specific meaning, their context, and you recognize the importance of the words they chose.
That feels like a powerful way to build rapport. It shows you really got it.
It's definitely an ultimate rapport builder.
Okay, let's shift gears now to the virtual world. We've all spent a lot of time behind screens lately, maybe gotten a bit too comfortable. Our source material flags 3 really common mistakes in virtual meetings. Easy fixes, apparently, but they can seriously tank your professional impact, especially if English isn't your first language. What's the biggest one? The absolute must fix.
Hands down, not turning on your camera. It sounds basic, but the impact is massive. We're talking an instant drop in communication effectiveness of at least 70%.
70%, wow.
Yeah. Just think about that classic communication breakdown. 55% is body language, 38% is your tone of voice, and only 7% is the actual words you use.
Right.
Camera off. You've just wiped out that entire 55% visual component. Gone.
And this is where it gets really critical if you're still working on your English fluency, right?
Absolutely critical. If your vocabulary feels a bit limited sometimes, or maybe your accent, your tone, grammar, if those things are still developing,
then the listener is relying much more heavily on your facial expressions, your nonverbal cues, to really understand the meaning, the emotion behind what you're saying.
Exactly. So turning your camera on isn't just some formality for other people. It's actually for your benefit. It gives the listener more information, more data points to accurately understand you. It cuts down ambiguity, boosts your clarity, your impact.
It's like professional self-preservation almost.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, mistake number 2 is technical, but boy, can it be frustrating for listeners using a bad microphone.
Yes. If you're just using the standard built-in mic on your laptop, chances are you're forcing everyone else on the call to filter out background noise.
The coffee grinder, the dog barking.
Construction down the street, kids yelling. Yeah. And think about it. If someone is already concentrating hard, maybe trying to follow a complex discussion or process an accent they're not used to.
Adding that extra layer of auditory static makes it almost impossible to follow.
It really does. A simple headset, even the one that came with your phone, or any kind of external mic setup, usually makes a world of difference.
Good advice. Always test your audio beforehand. Okay, the third mistake is interesting because it often feels like you're doing something helpful, over-relying on subtitles.
Yeah, this one's tricky. Subtitles seem like a great aid, right? But the source suggests that if you already understand, say, more than 70% of the conversation without them,
then they're actually holding you back.
Exactly. They have this kind of double negative impact. There's a short-term hit and a long-term one.
Okay, tell me about the short-term problem first.
In the short term, your attention is split. You're reading the text scrolling at the bottom.
So you look down.
And you miss things. You miss the nonverbal cues, the person's facial expression when they deliver a really important point, or maybe a subtle warning sign in their tone.
So your overall comprehension actually goes down.
Paradoxically, yes, because you're not engaging in true, holistic, active listening. You're just reading.
Okay. And what about the long-term damage? Why is relying on them bad for development?
Well, it basically prevents your raw listening skills from improving. To get better at understanding spoken language, your brain needs the exercise of actually hearing the sounds, identifying the words, linking sound to meaning.
But if your eyes are doing the work by reading the text,
Then your auditory processing just doesn't get that necessary workout. You stay reliant on the crutch, and your pure listening ability kind of stagnates.
all right, now for the real pressure cooker moment, the impromptu question. You're in that important meeting, maybe the CEO, maybe a key client, throws a really tough question at you. Something complex, something you weren't expecting.
Yeah, the natural instinct is just panic, freeze up.
Exactly. So let's break down this two-part formula from the source that's designed to help you keep your composure. When that tough question lands, what is the absolute first thing you need to do before you even think about answering?
You absolutely have to buy yourself time. And crucially, you need to verbalize that you're doing it. Silence is your enemy here.
Okay, so how do you do that? What's part one?
Part one is a quick two-step move. First, acknowledge or compliment the question. Say something like, that is an excellent question, or, that's a very important point.
But wait, doesn't saying that's a great question over and over
Yeah.
start to sound a bit fake,
Yeah.
insincere?
That's a really key point. You absolutely have to vary the adjectives. Keep it meaningful.
Yeah.
Use words like crucial, insightful, provocative, maybe challenging. It shows you're actually processing the nature of the question, not just using a generic stalling tactic.
Got it. Vary the compliment. What's step two of buying time?
Step two is tell people you need a moment. Don't just go silent while your brain races. You need to communicate what's happening.
So actually say it out loud.
Yes, say something like, I need just a few seconds to think about that. Or, okay, let me organize my thoughts on that for a moment.
That feels bold, but I guess it prevents that super awkward silence where everyone's just staring.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off everyone, including you, and it grants you those vital 5, maybe 10 seconds of processing time without feeling like you have to speak immediately.
Okay, 10 seconds might feel like forever, but it's definitely better than freezing. Now, what happens if you use those 10 seconds and you genuinely still don't have the answer? That brings us to part two, right?
Right. Part two is responding when you don't have the answer, and there's a specific formula the source attributes to top executives.
The CEO formula. Okay, what is it?
It's a clear 3-step sequence. Step 1, be honest. State clearly, confidently, I don't have a very good answer for you right now.
Just admit it.
Yes, honesty builds trust. Trying to bluff your way through often does more damage. Admitting you don't know something right now is perfectly acceptable, even for leaders.
Okay, be honest. What's step two? This seems crucial for avoiding looking like you're just dodging the question.
Step 2 is explain why, and this is critical. You must immediately follow up with the reason, and you have to use the word because.
Always use because.
Always. For example, I don't have a very good answer for you right now because the latest market data hasn't been finalized yet, or because I need to double-check the specific figures in the Q3 report.
That because part is interesting. The source mentioned that famous copy machine study.
Right, Cialdini's work, where just adding the word because, even with a flimsy reason, dramatically increased compliance.
Yeah, compliance jumped from like 60% to over 90%.
It shows how the human mind just craves a rationale. We need a reason to accept a delay or a gap. Providing the because satisfies that psychological need and validates why you can't answer immediately.
Fascinating. Okay, so be honest, explain why using because. What's the final step? Step 3.
Step 3 is provide a solution and ask for permission. You need to offer a concrete next step.
Show ownership.
Exactly. Say something like, what I will do is go back and check those numbers right after this meeting, and I'll send you an email with the detailed information this afternoon. And then this is important, you close the loop by asking for their agreement. Does that sound like a good plan to you?
Asking for buy-in on the solution.
Yes. It shows commitment, professionalism, and ensures they know what to expect. It turns a potential negative into a demonstration of responsibility.
Okay, that whole sequence, acknowledged by time, then honest because solution feels like a really solid framework. Before we wrap up, though, there was one more advanced skill mentioned for handling questions, particularly vague ones.
Yes. This is something high-level communicators do well. They don't just jump to answer a question that's poorly defined or ambiguous.
Why not?
Because they realize the person asking, even if it's the boss, might not have actually articulated what they truly need to know yet.
So your job isn't just to answer, but sometimes to help them clarify the question itself.
Precisely. You gently guide them towards clarity. You're essentially coaching the questioner a little bit.
How would you do that in practice?
You clarify the scope, often by offering options. You could say something like, okay, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. Are you asking about the overall revenue projection for Q4? That's option A. Or are you more focused on the detailed breakdown of capital expenditure for the new project, option B? Am I getting the scope right there?
I see. So you narrow it down for them.
Exactly. It ensures everyone's aligned, saves you from potentially answering the wrong question entirely, and actually makes you look more strategic.
Wow, okay. That was a really packed deep dive. We've covered some incredibly practical strategies, all drawn from these high-stakes communication environments.
Yeah, we hit the 3 secrets for small talk: focusing outward, being curious, actively listening.
Right. Then the virtual meeting fixes definitely camera on, good microphone, and maybe easing off the subtitles if you understand most of it.
And finally, that really robust 2-part formula for handling those tough impromptu questions. By time, then the honest because solution sequence.
And it feels like the common thread here isn't just about, perfecting grammar or vocabulary.
Not at all. It's really about boosting your influence, your professional impact, your confidence, whatever your current English level might be. These are formulas for showing up effectively.
Okay, so as a final thought for everyone listening, something really actionable to take away. Our source material had a fantastic tip on how to actually master these skills fastest.
Yes. And it's probably the most crucial piece of advice. Practice these skills in low-stakes situations first.
Don't wait for the big moment.
Absolutely not. Do not make the huge mistake of waiting until you're actually in front of the CEO to try out that Q&A formula for the very first time.
Where should you practice then?
Anywhere the pressure is off. Practice active listening with the person cutting your hair or your Uber driver. Try asking open-ended questions when you grab coffee. Use the Q&A structure mentally when a friend asks you something unexpected.
Because if you only try these things in high-stakes moments,
Failure can feel devastating. It can crush your confidence and make you just give up on the skill altogether.
so the real goal is to build the habit, get comfortable with the formula before the pressure's really on.
Exactly. Build the muscle memory when it doesn't matter as much, so it's there for you when it really does.
Fantastic advice. Go practice that composure this week. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.